We make these decisions to get involved in situations because we think it's just going to be so wonderful. It's going to be so great. And then we get involved and we find out it's not. It actually really sucks. My question is, why do we always have to wait to get into something before we realize that it wasn't a good idea to get into it? Why do we have to get involved in something before we recognize how toxic it was for us? How come that's not a call that we're able to make from the beginning to avoid the mess? The reason why is because we don't really understand that we don't belong everywhere. We were cultivated with a consumer mentality. And that mentality basically just wants us to eat everything. What that mentality says is, if it's beneficial to me, if it seems beneficial, if it seems like it could be successful, or if it seems like I can enjoy it and I don't see anything legalistically wrong with it, then I can go after it. It's an opportunity. It's something that I need to have. So basically, we see everything as an opportunity. The problem with this, however, is that everything is not an opportunity because you don't belong everywhere. Whether or not something can be successful is not what determines whether or not it was a good ideal. What it took for you to make it work is what determines whether or not it was a good ideal. A lot of the situations that you are in them illegally. Now, what does that mean? I'm not talking about immigration. What does it mean that I'm in my situation illegally? I will explain. This is going to help you out. Everybody has to make sacrifices in order to make something work, in order to be beneficial to a situation. You have to compromise. Give and take. There's going to be certain things that I'm willing to give up, and there's going to be certain things that you're willing to give up in order to make a situation work. Whether we're talking about a relationship, a job, a stake in the community, a group of some sort, moving to a new place, it doesn't matter. There's compromise. That's sacrifice. So how do I tell the difference between sacrifice and manipulation? What is the difference between sacrifice and manipulation? When you sacrifice something in order to make a situation work, you give up the right to bring it up again. Sacrifice means that I'm giving this up for the greater good of the situation. That's what a sacrifice is. So when does a sacrifice become manipulation? Manipulation is when you seemingly give something up, or hide it rather, ignore it long enough to enter into the situation and then later try to bring it up as a necessity or a need. Here's what you have to understand. Anything that has the potential to affect how you treat people, how you see them, how you deal with them, needs to be one of the first things mentioned when you enter into a situation. If it is that detrimental to you that it has a potential to change how you interact with someone, and you don't let people know about it from Jump Street, that is how you know you're in your situation illegally. Because had you let the person know, or the people or the organization know, that this is what you needed in the first place, chances are you wouldn't even be there. But what we do is, if it's an opportunity, I can't afford to miss the opportunity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cover over this long enough for me to get inside. And then the people are now trapped. They have to adhere to what I'm saying to them now. He has to be this kind of man now. She has to be this kind of woman now. They have to be this kind of place of employment now. They have to be this kind of organization now, because we're already in a connection. So now they have to oblige this. But something tells you you know that if you had presented that information in the beginning, the opportunity would have never happened. That's what it means to be in a situation illegally. If you knew that the thing that you were tucking away or hiding was actually something very important to you, it should have been what you led off with. One of the things that you led off with. Once you're already in the situation, you lose your right to bring it up again, to judge somebody or to judge people by something that you kept away from them. Is hypocrisy. How do I keep ending up with these people in these kind of relationships? Well, it's because in the face of the opportunity of the relationship, you thought it might have been advantageous to you to get the relationship, to keep it tucked away. So now you're with someone and you are now trying to present them with something that you kept away from them, and they're rejecting it. That's not their fault, because you wouldn't even be with them in the first place had you shown them that. So you are in your situation illegally. It's not someplace you're supposed to be. Everything is not an opportunity. Just because it can work doesn't mean it should work. And the thing that determines whether or not it should be happening is not whether or not it's working. It's not whether or not it was successful. What's going to cause you problems, and inevitably does cause all of us problems, and we don't understand where the problems are coming from. This is where it came from. Too much of things that you valued, you tucked away, you shaved off, you changed, you hid long enough to get inside the situation, and you're miserable now because now you're trying to present something that the environment is rejecting, because we have this misconception that we can always reconcile opportunity with things that we hid later. There are some things you wouldn't even be in had you let people know certain things. And so these two things are not always reconcilable. They're not always conjoinable. You don't always get the chance to say, okay, now that I'm in here, I got the opportunity, let's bring the prerequisites. No, there are many cases in all of our lives which may explain the issues you're going through right now, that the fact that the opportunity didn't come with the prerequisites, the standards, the things that make you feel like you're in a situation, if they didn't come with that, they can't be conjoined, because this only exists in the absence of these here. This wouldn't be here had I let people know certain things. So to think that I can bring it up later is manipulation, is hypocrisy. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't be here. Let me know what you think. I'm out.